congregation is mourning the sudden passing of its leader.
He delivered what was to be his final sermon, then he died in the pulpit. 10 on your side's Ava Hurdle talked with his daughter who witnessed it all.
Pastors are supposed to be leaders of the church. Pastors are to lead and command a group of dedicated believers to the kingdom of heaven so that the members aspire to do the same thing. Pastors are supposed to symbolize how a man of the Most High is to conduct themselves in the name of the truth, the way, and the life.
Keep your eyes upon him, and you cannot be defeated.
Bishop Barnett Thorogood preaches his last sermon from the pulpit at New Jerusalem Church of God in Christ.
So if pastors are these highly qualified men, and for some reason women, then why are pastors mentally ill? Why are pastors, like pastors, wanting to erase themselves from the earth?
A former Nashville pastor who was an advocate for mental health has taken his own life. Jared Wilson died Monday evening. News Channel 5's Kelsey Gibbs reports that more churches here in Middle Tennessee are talking now about mental health.
People with depression have a 40% higher risk of developing cardiovascular and metabolic diseases than the general population. People with serious mental illness are nearly twice as likely to develop these conditions. Suicide is the second leading cause of death among people aged 10 through 34 in the United States. Suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the United States. The overall suicide rate in the United States has increased by 31% since 2001. 46% of people who die by suicide had a diagnosed mental health condition. 90% of people who die by suicide had shown symptoms of a mental health condition, according to interviews with families, friends, and medical professionals.
So many pastors struggle and suffer in silence, and you see somebody who is really dealing with this. I think you have to ask the question of what keeps me here today.
So here's a word for you pastors. Are you frustrated that your fellow colleagues and the members of your congregation suffer from the same diseases of the world? So could it not be true that we must return to God's original diet for mankind in order to radically decrease the concentration of destructive man-made poisons in our food chain in order to regain our health? These bodies we live in were not designed for foods saturated with preservatives, antibiotics, artificial flavors, chemical fertilizers, pesticides, hormones, and other hazardous chemicals. As if that weren't enough, we were also not designed for foods containing refined sugar, chemicalized salt, and the excessive fat and protein from the flesh of animals. Our bodies were designed for a simple fare of living foods given to us by our Creator.
Processed food industry, they load their foods with over 10,000 extra FDA-approved chemicals. And then what's most evil and racist of all is this brain-damaging diet is being forced upon millions of our children living in food deserts. And I, for one, don't believe for a second that that's solely by accident.
And the bottom line is this: our diet is killing us. Many of those who follow Christ say with their lips that they bend the knee to Christ in the spiritual realm. But do they really? If they persist in polluting these magnificent bodies with what we know is harmful, Are we not guilty of wrongdoing and hypocrisy if we knowingly put dead, refined, man-made garbage into our body? We men are made in the image of God and women in the image of man, so we must care for these bodies in reverence to our Creator. And at the end of the day, it matters not whether you are a doctor, a pastor, a lawyer, a maintenance engineer, an entrepreneur, a common laborer, a farmer, a housewife. Regardless of your occupation, your health depends on whether you are obedient to Elohim's natural law or whether you violate it. And it is that simple, ladies and gentlemen.